This episode of GuildCast is brought to you by Netflix. For a free 30-day trial, head on over to netflix.com/GameBreakerTV.
Gamebreaker TV.
Welcome to The Price is Right.
Come on down.
What's up, everybody? Come on down. Welcome to GuildCast episode 64 for March 6, 2013. You're watching Gamebreaker. I'm Gary again. Coming up on today's show, we've got the info on the March patch. The March patch. The end of culling, dub-v-dub progression. News of a non-expansion or lack of one. All that and plus a shit ton of viewer questions. And it's Scott Hawks' last show. So just get that right out there. How are you, sir?
What? Oh, yeah, it is. Hello. I'm well. How are you? Have you hit your head or something?
We'll leave it at that. Massively.com. It's Elizabeth Clare with an X.
Not my last show.
Not last show. And Richie Procopio. He's got internet dragons and a big mic. Not his last show.
No. And that voice is doing well to bring in new viewers who have never seen this before.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to want to keep watching after this.
You're the next contestant on Gary's a Douchebag. Here we go. Okay. All right, so we got a pretty decent show today. Lots of viewer questions at the end. Stick around for that for sure. Scott's a turncoat and he's leaving the show. He's leaving you guys in the dust. He doesn't really like this audience anymore, and he's moved. So he's decided that the This Week in MMO crowd is much more his crowd, and he's going to go over to that show. And probably 99.9% of you watch both shows.
So yeah. So
Elizabeth looks like she's absolutely going to die. While she holds in her laughter. No, but seriously, Scott, it is you're gonna do a transfer. You're gonna come over to This Week in the MMOs because you came on a week or two ago and we had so much fun. You were just like, I want to come over there.
Yeah,
those other two hosts you got going on.
I know, we stink.
It's not true. You see, I'm in a new place. This is Seattle. I'm starting a new job as Colin Johanson's butler tomorrow morning. So it's been fun.
People not Colin Johansson's butt.
Butler. Right,
so there'll be a million questions about.
He could get better butts than me. With that money, I tell you.
Like big butts and I cannot lie.
Well, with me, everyone would be happy. So I was on Twibo a week ago. We had a lot of good fun and there's a lot of good discussion going on. And just with my work at ZAM, ZIC, I cover a lot of the sort of general news. And I don't have time to do two shows, so something had to give. And unfortunately, as much as I love being with you guys on a Wednesday, it makes more sense.
So he's not leaving. Don't be that sad. He's not leaving. You just got a reason to tune in on Fridays at 3 PST.
Another reason. Yes.
No, a reason. Because there's no
the best reason.
Well, you'll be missed, Scott. Good luck.
It's going to be weird not having you two guys around. I'm just going to pester you in other ways instead. So,
nice.
That'll be all right.
We'll have to actually run dungeons together.
Yeah, I know. That'll be good.
You should just get your mutual friend to talk to their mutual friend, and
we'll set something up.
Friend it up.
Yes.
All right, let's get into the show.
Yeah.
Sad, weepy, leaving jerk. All right. We've got details on the March patch. By details, I mean pretty much nothing. At least from ArenaNet. So, what's going on here? The only word on GuildWars2.com right now is a bit of lore. What's the deal? Is there a deal?
So yeah, lore. It just, there was a little snippet that got put up yesterday that was like the raising and everything's coming to a big epic climax, and they're burning every village they pass, which is really it. Which doesn't give us a ton of expectations for what this patch is actually going to look like.
It sounds like Trogdor, right?
Yeah, it's definitely Trogdor is the main confirmed as the main opponent in this story arc.
Oh,
Yeah,
don't
so-
worry, everybody. Logan Thackeray will save us all. Don't worry.
he won't run away again.
Ow.
Dragons! I believe I hear someone calling my name. Bye.
See ya. Yeah, so the
I got
Dredge
a
and the Flame Legion.
disappointment.
I think the Flame Legion and the Dredge getting together is now called the Molten Alliance. Is that the new
I think
term?
That's right.
Yeah, and we're going to be meeting a Norn named Bram and a Char named Rox. And
Rox
they're going
is
to be.
Whitlock's training partner.
Oh, is it?
Ooh.
I didn't know
Yes.
that. That's cool.
Who's Rocks?
So
Whitlock's
Rox is-
training partner. That's all we know.
It definitely sounds like the pace is picking up in March, though, doesn't it? It's not a whole lot to go on.
yeah,
with.
yeah. They said that the living story, is going to really unfold in March and April. So we know that. So it should be, the pace should be quickening. I guess my question is, with the introduction of like these new NPCs, and they kind of want to introduce these new characters, and I've seen forum posts like teasing, oh, wait till you see the new characters we're going to introduce and stuff. How do you think they're going to go about doing it? I was talking to Olivia about it today, doing a hit for an article on Gamebreaker, and we were kind of talking about whether or not they were going to use voiceover or not, or they're going to go back to more of a Guild Wars 1 style where there's a lot of dialogue that unfolds just through the game, through your dialogue choices. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I would love dialogue since it's so prevalent throughout the rest of the game. It would feel really weird if they're like, oh, here are these new main characters who aren't voiced at all, so good luck bonding with them. Because, I mean, every NPC you walk by has voice dialogue. So for me, it would make more sense if they were voiced.
I kind of agree. I kind of think you're right.
Do you think they'll do full-blown cinematics though with the side-by-side stuff? Because I don't know. I was thinking about how much time that would take to put together, and if they're doing this kind of like monthly.
Yeah, we haven't seen any yet, so I don't imagine that that's a bit of the living story. It seems a lot more approachable than that, for the most part.
Yeah.
I also wonder. I mean,
Scott's muted. I think that's why.
Oh, that's why we're not talking to you.
Yeah, he keeps trying to butt in and saying nothing.
Still
Oh,
not
no.
working. You're still muted.
I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to be rude, Scott.
Looking at those cinematics, not that they're like, going to slap those things together in an afternoon, but I almost wonder if that, a lot of people, when we saw the cinematics initially, and it was right around the time everyone was looking at this game, everyone was like, oh, wow, I kind of was hoping that they'd be like full on cinematics. I really wonder if now this makes sense that if they could probably put those together, they seem like the production time on what they have in Guild Wars 2 would be a lot less than full blown cinematics. I wonder if they can kind of put this together somewhat quick. Because, I mean, you've got some animated, like, After Effects layers and stuff. And then you've got some, just some animations of talking and stuff like that with the voiceover. So I wonder if they did that just for that sole purpose, that they could push out content a lot quicker like this.
That seems super reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that's a pretty good point. And that actually might be why the living story is rolling out a little bit slower. Like, they introduced it in January, February, but the voiceover is ready for March and April. I don't know. It's going to be interesting because they really want to push this living story, and now they're pushing, or they're teasing the fact that there's main characters coming in that we're going to interact with. It's going to be interesting to see how they actually do that.
I think a lot of people are looking forward to the PvE content and with the living story.
Yeah,
You're good now, Scott. You're good.
I was just ignoring
is this
you
thing on?
'cause he's rude.
Is this on?
That's nice, isn't it? Is it all right? All right, then. Fine. Go ahead. I'm serious.
All right. Got the butter.
What? What was that? So, yeah, especially you would think the voiceover was going to come in. They made a big deal of, well, not made a big deal, but the characters are important. Like, we've got two named characters as being important to the story. And so having voices to help lift that personality and give you a real sense of who they are, I think it'd be a really good thing to have to make the story sing a bit more. So, yeah, hopefully there'll be some voiceover with it.
I'm reading chat room, who's much smarter than I, and I'll read this really quick. I have no idea if this is true, if they know anything, but it just says, hey, they developed a special tool for creating cutscenes like the ones that play when you roll a new character. They can make that stuff super quick, pending the pace of the concept art team, which is kind of what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of what you said.
So I'm pretty, as Elizabeth said, I'm kind of reasonable.
I don't think she ever said that.
That doesn't
Yes, you
sound
did.
anything like anything I would ever say.
Yeah, I kind of spewed all that, and you said that sounds reasonable. So
No, that sounds reasonable. You're not.
Yes, yeah.
Saying one thing
I was
you
gonna say-
said sounds reasonable is entirely different from saying you are a reasonable man.
not at all.
Not at all. And that's my argument.
All right. Morg.com. Moperg.
Morp.
Morpg. Otherwise known as MMORPG.com. Actually have some details on the gameplay side of the March patch. They spoke with WW coordinator, principal programmer Habib Lowe, and he had some words to shout. And he said this. He said, there are two main priorities with this patch. The first is to eliminate culling. I don't know how else to read that, except it says eliminate culling.
That is very cut and dried.
Is that
in that phrasing there?
Are we consuming media correctly?
Yes, we're consuming it critically and correctly.
With a knife and fork.
There are two main priorities with this patch. The first is to eliminate culling. The second is to add dub-v-dub progression for players. The progression allows us to let players feel a sense of advancement past level 80. Also, we want to give players some achievement beyond just regular content advancement. So there's no other way to read that. Eliminate culling. Awesome. I can't wait. Yeah. I mean, even if they,
for sure.
If they can pull this off, I mean, the game is just going to be so much better. I mean, in the open world, for events, for W-dubs, for special stuff, like everything this kind of comes into.
It's that epic hordes rolling over the hill sort of, Lord of the Rings big battle at the end thing you can get to see now, rather than, oh, look, there are a few people there, and oh no, we're dead. And what was that killed us? I don't know, but it really, really hurt. So we're going to get to probably see more of that, and as long as we're not getting like lag issues, which, let's face it, they're not going to implement something that says, oh look, you can see everything, but it looks like a pop-up book now.
Well, and we're going to talk a little bit about how they're going to sort of implement it, which is really interesting. But do you think, should gamers not get their hopes up too much until they actually see this? I mean, do you think we're going to need like some monster rig, like a supercomputer to kind of really get it dialed down to zero culling?
They've been saying all along that they were developing the game to run on mid-range kind of machines. So I'm not really expecting that they're going to be like, well, if you don't go out and buy a brand new rig, you're kind of screwed on this. So I assume that it'll be friendly.
I'm just nervous about them coming right out and saying eliminate it completely, because that we're supposed to see improvements in January and February, and I just haven't seen them really. And this to just come out and say, yeah, we got this, we're nailed it. It scares me.
I mean, I think if I remember right, you actually said that you saw some negative reaction to it, didn't you? Didn't you have even some more problems with the second?
Yeah, it feels worse to me in PvE. It definitely does. I've experienced more culling the past 3 weeks or so than I have since launch. So
maybe it had to get worse to get better.
That's right.
How it works.
That's it.
You have to hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
You have to fall off that horse before you learn how to ride it. You have to get hit by that car before you know how to. No, that's not right.
Keep going with this. All right, well,
something like that.
I'm going to talk a little bit more about the progression system in a minute. Habib continued on about culling. So he said, the change in March will turn off culling completely. You will now see every character within range of you. There will be several different options for how other players are presented to you on the client side that you can choose from, so you can control how it works for you. So that's it. I mean, it sounds like it's going to go away, but it really looks like they're putting some options, and this is where it gets interesting. They're putting options in the player's hands, and this is why I was kind of alluding at with a supercomputer, because I'm wondering if only like top rigs are going to be able to actually like really turn all these options off, and a lot of us are going to get stuck with some form of culling. It's gonna be like, hey, you can untick all these boxes and it's gonna be gone, but
that's right. Yeah,
a lot of us, you're gonna have to tick those bottom 2 boxes and it's still here.
What?
Yeah, I
still can't complain but I still can't complain about that. Like, they can't, if it's a technology thing, it's like, hey, I don't know, they are trying to do the best they can to get rid of it.
Right. Reading these two quotes back to back and how sure he is that they're going to get rid of it, it kind of does sound like that. All right, yeah, we're taking that technology out. You're going to be able to totally remove culling, but you'll have to see if that works for you or not.
Well, I guess there's a few options. It could either be A, they remove culling, and suddenly it's a game that requires you to have the modern equivalent of Big Blue in your living room and something incredibly powerful to make it worthwhile. I can't see them doing that and say, "Yay, look what we did! Isn't that great?" Because that's not really. That's like You can run it as long as you're on the moon, so that means it's good. So I can't see that. Or it's a case of well, it's fixed, but you'll see 5 characters that look great, and the rest of them will look like they're out of a Lowry painting. Or then you get the third one, which is it works pretty well. Let's hope third one or something in between. I mean, it might not be spot on right away, but you might see some fine-tuning along the way, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's not perfect straight up. But the fact that they're going for it sounds very encouraging.
What it sounded like to me when he said you have options for how players are presented to you, we know that in the last patch they were loading in like placeholder models for every race and profession, so you'd get your generic char engineer before they're like, oh, it's a generic char engineer that has these horns and this weapon. So it sounds like you might be able to say, just render all my enemies as the generic thing, just render all my enemies as, their color and whatever, instead of saying render each and every single one of them in loving detail with all their legendaries and particle effects.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, here comes Scott! Look at Scott! He looks like a black book!
Comes this like
beat on Scott!
Character.
But yeah, but you know what's even still for PvPers, I mean, of course, Guild Wars 2 is gorgeous and the art is amazing and everybody wants to turn this thing up to like ultra and play on the highest settings. But when it comes to PvP, if you want fast frame rates, like, I think a lot of people will turn all that stuff down and go with as little or zero culling and sacrifice some of the graphics for that. I mean, even if you have to turn down all of these sort of options and get a black blob, like I'm joking around, just like a blob of a person, isn't it kind of better that you can at least see them?
Yes.
Like,
that's better than it is now.
On the field, even if they're blobs.
You know how many there are, and more importantly, their positioning and their movements. So when they're flanking you, when they're trying to cut you off from, trying to bottleneck you and whatever. So seeing those positioning is really important, and not saying, oh look, I can't see the sun gleaming off the epaulet on that one. Who cares? As long as that's where it is, and that thing will kill me if I go in that direction, so I won't. It is the important.
So I'm okay with this option.
Yeah. Plus, like being able to turn off other people's legendaries sounds like a feature to me.
It sounds so great. I would love to do that because I'd never ever be jealous ever again.
It's like, oh, look at you, you pompous twit. Off.
I have yet to be in a meta event in like the last month where there isn't somebody with the friggin' dreamer, and I just want to be able to never see another rainbow unicorn again in my life. So tired of it. So done.
I gotta say the other thing, not directly related to this, but talking about MMOs for years, there would always be these like, obviously not culling. I'm not directly relating it to culling, but in other MMOs where you'd have something that would be like apparent, like of an issue with players. And I remember always like just kind of like talking with friends and gamers and being like, man, I wish they would just give the player a couple tick boxes to kind of make the choice themselves. And you know what's funny? You never usually see game companies do that for some reason. They very, very, very rarely do something like this and actually like give you the ability to kind of tick things on and tick things off and kind of like, I think it's because they're afraid to possibly have different experiences amongst different players. And I gotta say, I think it's kudos that they're doing it.
Yeah, it's good. And I think it's also partly they're worried about representations because you can always take the worst looking screenshot on Earth when you allow that. And so I say, well, this is what that game looks like.
Right.
Not playing that rubbish. When not realising, of course, that's just an option. And it's difficult to explain that away when someone saw an image of it. Yep. So I think that's partly the reason why they're very hesitant to do that. So, no, it is good that. But let's face it, if anybody puts up a picture of like Guild Wars 2 and says, well, it's an ugly game, it's not going to hold weight in comparison to everything else that's known about the game. So they shouldn't really worry about that too.
All right, let's jump into some dub v dub progression now. So Habib had this to say. He said, there are 2 ways to earn what we are calling World XP right now. Those are joining dub v dub events and killing other players. As you earn more World XP, your rank will go up. Every sum of World XP will give you a rank, and that will give you a new title in dub v dubs. I gotta ask really quick, is this something dub v dub players have been looking for? Has there been a major outcry for this progression in dub v dubs?
I don't know if anyone stepped away from their trebuchet long enough to like angst on the forums about it, but we've been talking a long time amongst ourselves about how people need that kind of endgame progression, and since dub v dubs is for a lot of people at this point their endgame, having that progression there and that ability to say, oh, I'm a pillager rather than invader now, like, ooh, that's super cool. That's something that I think a lot of people would be very happy to have.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I mean, because we've said it time to time, there are times when the matchup you're in just isn't interesting anymore, right? You get well ahead, you get well behind, and they've talked a lot about adding incentives for the short term, which we're hoping comes in March, so that you want to play in the short term for some sort of bonus or some sort of reward. But having this progression system in there helps. It's like, all right, I'm not wasting time actually contributing here. I'm working towards a new flashy title. I'm working towards a new kind of world versus world only ability or something like that. So I think it's going to do a lot for getting more players into world versus world and getting them to stick to it. So yeah, I think this is good.
And I would imagine being an MMO, we're going to see plenty of rewards going along with possibly ranks and things like that as well. I can't imagine it's just going to be a title. What do you think?
Yeah, one can hope.
It's gonna be it's things like, passive abilities are going to be the first ones coming in, aren't they? So you're more resistant to, say, arrow carts, which I think everybody can get behind. So the first round of stuff that you're going to get is going to be the sort of things that just makes you a bit more effective in WVW. Not in a, look at me, I now have this ability to call in a meteor from space that destroys this wall, although one could hope that is a future ability. But so for now, it's going to be stuff like you'll just survive a bit longer, you'll be a bit more powerful, but it's not going to be so incredibly overbearingly powerful on an individual basis that you're going to see people just becoming one-person wrecking crews. But what you will see is if you have one side that's got a lot of these people together versus the other side who maybe doesn't, then you'll probably see the tide turning a bit more effective. Yeah,
they do sound like they're going to actually be pretty good, though. So Habib said this. He said, for example, right now, you only see the Invader title. These titles will change with your rank. With each rank, you will earn points to cash in on WW abilities. The abilities are generally passive in the beginning, with skills like doing more damage to guards or taking less damage from siege. And again, I mean, I think WW is the best place the titles, because it's the only place where they really matter. So it's a great place for them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pretty much all you see on your enemies. So that's kind of cool. Actual abilities, like they kind of leave it pretty much open. They say, oh, they're going to be passive in the beginning, but that kind of leaves them very open to what they can do later on.
So yeah. I want to see meteorite strikes on walls. I want to see you can create a trampoline at the bottom of walls so people jump on them and flip over the top of walls and stuff. But that'll never happen. But hey, we got mesmers, so why not?
Do you know how many trampolines? We would just have we'd have 100 people on trampolines bouncing up and down in WW.
You could have synchronized trampoline as a sport in the Olympics, like that sort of thing, going up around walls. I think it'd be great.
Just go for flying mounts, dude. If you're going to be throwing out ridiculous trampoline ideas, just go for the flying mounts.
Don't be daft. Trampolines, they're much more fun. Kids love them.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the abilities?
We heard, I think one that got mentioned was the ability to just carry around more supply. I could be totally making that up, but I'm pretty sure I heard it. And so it'd be nice to see something like being able to repair siege more effectively and stuff. So anything like that would be really nice and helpful.
It's nice, some little like speed buffs and passive, like things like that. Speed things up, carry some more stuff. Look at this Richie face. Hi, I'm Richie.
I'm pretty sure he's frozen.
Got the best of me.
I'm pretty sure he's frozen.
80-mile-an-hour winds. Do you think he's frozen, Liz? I'm pretty sure he's frozen. I'm pretty sure he's frozen.
Well, so much for Richie.
I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure he's frozen.
At least that was a good face to get frozen on. Let's be honest. It could have been something much, much worse.
The other thing that was confirmed is that this new progression system is going to be character only. So it's not going to be, oh, look at that.
Oh, perfect. Lord.
It is not. It's going to be character only. Are you guys? I mean, I think that's the way to go. Some people are saying that they would have preferred it to be account wide, but I think that would be a little too much.
I think if you make it account wide, then I don't know. It kind of undersells the sort of purity of it in itself as being a progression thing. Because then it's kind of like saying, well, when you level one of your characters to level 80 in the PvE open world, then it automatically gives other characters ranks up. I mean, it'd be nice, but I just think it would undermine the system myself. I don't really think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't mind it being account bound. I wouldn't have minded it being, I wouldn't have minded it being account bound. But character bound makes sense. It goes with what they were talking about with the commander pins, how they want you to really have that character be invested. So it's not shocking that that's how they're doing it.
All right, so not account-wide character bound, but I think it's a good thing. All right, we're gonna talk a little bit about all these people freaking out about the Colin Johanson interview, where he had some more words to say. What's wrong, Liz? Media consumption.
Nothing.
That's what we do.
Critical media consumption is a crucial skill.
Media consumption.
It's like two halves of a magnet. Colin Johanson says words, people freak out.
Also, this is my I told you so segment, so go for it. Start us off.
We should turn that into it. Well, first I gotta tell you
because
about...
I called it.
Netflix. If you guys have not checked out Netflix, what are you waiting for? I got a free 30-day trial with your name on it. All you got to do is go over to netflix.com/GamebreakerTV. Use that URL. Netflix.com/GamebreakerTV. Go sign up for a free 30-day trial. You can sign up for the streaming service. You download any of the stuff to you not download it, but you can stream any of it to your iPad, your iPhone, your PS3, your Wii, your Xbox, Roku. I use it on my iPad. Go. And right now, you guys got to go watch House of Cards. It is a Netflix original. They are now making their own shows. It's a Netflix original show produced by them. All the episodes are online right now with Kevin Spacey getting rave reviews. Go check it out. Walking Dead is on there. My favorite show, Breaking Bad, is on there. I got to start watching Sons of Anarchy. I watched a little bit of it. You guys ever watch that show?
Yes, I have.
You like
very
it?
Good.
Yeah,
yes,
you like it?
I do.
Yeah, good one?
Yeah.
The Lorax, Downtown Abbey.
Richie's asking if he can come back in.
Sure,
He wants to know
why
if he
not?
can be part of the Cool Kids Club again.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, Richie,
Let
go ahead
him
and
in.
join.
Go today. Go over today. Sign up. If you don't like the service, if you don't want to keep it, you can cancel at any time before the 30 days are up. You won't be charged a dime. If you like it, it's $8 a month after that to keep the service. I love it. I've been a subscriber for God knows how long. I was a subscriber when it was DVDs going to your house, and then as soon as they did the streaming service, I jumped on board with that. I love it on my Apple TV. It's pretty much all I watch. Netflix. All right. I don't know where he is. He's not here. All right. This is Elizabeth's segment where she
Gets to say I told you so.
where she basically takes Colin Johanson out of context and gets everybody to rage.
Did not.
So he did an interview, like he does, and people freaked out. Why? Well, this is what he had to say. He said, expansions are definitely something that we'll potentially look at in the future. We don't have a timetable on it. We're open to it. But I think our major focus as a studio is making the living world concept as strong as we possibly can for the players that we've got. Having carefully consumed this media, the general consensus seems to be no expansion anytime soon.
Which
What
isn't
do you guys
really shocking if you've been, critically consuming their interviews for the past 6 months.
I believe those other guys.
You believe the people who aren't ArenaNet?
Yeah, I do. I don't know, Scott. You think he's totally just, that's all I hear when Colin talks. Expansions coming out in 2013.
I think that's Colin saying, "Hey, can you stop asking me about expansions, please?"
Yeah, please, for the love of God, people.
We
Please.
want to talk.
I know.
We want to talk about
I
a living
asked him
story.
about it.
Marketing and PR is talking about the living. We're all talking about living story right now. That's all we're pushing right
Exactly.
now. Please ask me questions about living story and stop asking me questions about Gary Inception right there. Got myself inside of myself.
Sorry about that.
I bet that's uncomfortable. Oh, it's 3 Scots.
Richie,
Hi,
what do you
Scott.
think? Do you think? Have you carefully consumed the media of Colin Johanson this week and the talk of a non-expansion?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I carefully consumed. Yes.
Busted.
I did.
Busted.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. Kind of that he went out and said that. We were thinking that there would be an expansion this year, and now it doesn't look like it so much. I don't know. I think if you think about all the stuff they need to put into an expansion, if we're going to do like if we're expecting a new continent, maybe some new maps for World versus World, some new dungeons, new personal story, that is a lot of work to do in a very short period of time if they are having pretty much the whole team working on these monthly updates right now. So, I know I've said in the past I thought there would be an expansion coming out this year, but with Colin saying that, now
You believe him?
Yeah.
You believe him? Don't you believe those Daewoo guys, the ones who, I don't know, they make cars or something?
I don't know. It's hard because I kind of believe both. But
You kind of believe both.
They're saying two opposite things, right?
Have I thrown this show completely off the rails that nobody can even think?
I know it's hard.
Is it hard right now?
Is
it just hard to concentrate and formulate a thought? Scott, you're using to be holding it together. Stop painting back there. It's like finger painting between conversations.
It's just I'm usually that mental that it's hard to tell the difference between when I am and when I'm not. That's all it is, really. I think that. I mean, I asked you the question like, was it a month ago about that exact question, because you have to before people say, why did you ask? And he said, yes, we're going to do expansions. We don't know when exactly there'll be a timetable for it, when there'll be one. We're not putting a timetable on it, and so therefore that's it. We're focusing on what we do with the living story for the first 6 months of this year. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I mean,
this is really not news. People just weren't listening before.
And not having a timetable on it could really mean anything. I mean, that doesn't really say much. I mean,
That's
they just haven't nailed down
specifically making sure it means anything.
Yeah.
Right. And we
wasn't
know
part of it.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, wasn't part of it though. I thought I read. I could be wrong. I thought he came out literally and said, "We are not currently working on an expansion."
Yes.
Yes.
But how can you really? Latter half of this year if you're not already working on it.
But there's a difference between if you're not working on the actual design of it, you're not doing design documents, you're not doing program on it. Does that mean you're not working on it? Does it mean that means there are no ideas about an expansion whatsoever? And as soon as they have any and write them down, that means they're working on the expansion. You know what I mean? It's what cycle of production are they in? Of course, there's going to be expansion ideas out there and things on the buy-in, but it means nothing. Basically, what Colin Johanson has said today was, not talking about that in a very nice way. Let's talk about what we're doing.
Exactly. He's like, focus, dial it back in. Let's face it, he's a tease. First it's an expansion, start of the year now. They don't have a timetable.
I think they want people to understand that they're really serious about supporting the living story, because up till now everyone's been like, oh, well, nothing cool's coming to the expansion, so we're just waiting for an expansion. And they've been so clear from the beginning that we want the living story to be a big part of the game, and we want these releases to evolve the game to the point where we have a lot of content coming out that isn't expansion-based, and people haven't been paying attention to this, and I think that was the best way to make that point very clear.
I hear no expansion. I'm unsub. Time to unsubscribe. I'm done. Oh, wait.
Unsub. Yeah.
All right, next up, the community has been waiting for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Scott, you've been waiting for it.
I'm waiting for you right now.
Wait for it. Name change is on the way. You can now rejoice and get married.
Okay.
Yeah, name change is on its way. What's the word?
That's nice.
Awesome.
Did they give us a timetable on that?
No.
No.
It's been coming for a while, and there's been more talk on the forums that yes, indeed, it's still coming, but no timetable on that. I know people really want that, especially since you can do the makeover now, and you can change your gender. And so changing gender is not so useful if you're still called Hank.
Another man.
I used to be Jim, but now I'm Jane. Hi.
Yes.
Hello. I don't know. I'm gonna call.
Well, you're just a very strange-looking Jim. Still.
You're still Jim.
Eventually, you may become. Yes.
Dave was probably got a time.
But not elsewhere.
Let's get them on the horn. All right, so we're not here. We're not here to plug gem store sales of specific items. From time to time, we'll point out some cool things that are added, maybe even some really crappy ones that are added, but we're not going to tell you that the pirate costume is 50% off. However, everyone should keep an eye on the gem store this month, as there are going to be 31 days of sales. All right. Anybody got a joke that there's not 30? Anybody got the joke that there's not 31 things in the store?
I'm surprised they didn't pick February for it, so that there were just the right number of days.
28.
Something else cool that they're doing is they're having flash sales. Like today, they announced that there was a flash sale on 500 Black Lion salvage kits, and once those were gone, it was off. Yeah. And I actually logged in right away, and I was surprised that there were still any left because I was a whole 2 minutes into it, and I expected that someone would be like, "I could use 250 of those."
Are you kidding me?
I broke them. Yeah, they were on ridiculous sales.
That's what I've been waiting for to go on sale. Oh,
they might come up another day.
You snooze, you lose.
So this is a flash sale, not.
I love and hate the flash sale. Some other games do them, and they do the same thing to me. They got a timer ticking down, and you're just like, "Oh my god, I have to buy them."
Yeah,
Cameron, you got to help me out next time those things go on sale. Somebody hit me up.
So how much of the kits again? How much are they? Because those 500 went in 12 minutes. Master, who is one of the colleagues, he was there timing, and they got in 12 minutes. So yeah, that's a nice little indication that people don't mind spending money on the gem store, even though they've only now really started using this kind of. We've been saying, haven't we? Start pushing the gem store a bit.
Yeah, here we go. How people are saying I think it sold out in 12 minutes? 12 minutes they were gone. Is that right? Yeah. How soon after is it gone for the entire day, or how soon after does it reset to something else?
That was a flash sale, so that was on top of the normal daily sale. So they're like, whatever it is on sale. By the way, until these 500 items are sold, like the Black Lion trading or salvage kit is also on sale. And what that's going to make people do, if they're really scared about losing out on that sort of thing, is they're going to have gems already bought, so that the next time it goes up, they can just run into the store, click it, and not have to worry about waiting for PayPal to authenticate or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's going to make you sit there with a second monitor up while you're
no joke, just
cleaning your kid's dirty diaper, and you're just staring at the guild. When's the flash sale? When's the pop? That's why I was wondering. So when it sells out, do they throw another one up kind of right after, or is it next day, or is it just random? Do we have the flash sale?
This was the first flash sale I saw, and there wasn't anything up after it. So it looks like they reset it the day.
I didn't even know.
Or midnight or something. Richie missed it.
This is kind of cool. This is a cool way to ramp up towards an earnings call, right? What if they have an earnings call at the end of March? You know what? We'll do a sale every day in March, and we'll do flash sales if we're falling behind. Just printing money. Good stuff.
All right, let's move on and do some viewer questions. If you guys have questions for the GuildCast crew, send them to submit@gamebreaker.tv. Viewer questions. We love the viewer questions, and we love video questions. Record yourself, post it up on YouTube, send us the link. Send the link to submit@gamebreaker.tv. We'll play it on the show and answer it. All right. First up this week from Salamal. Says, I'm getting tired of being stuck on overflows for dragon/meta events. What could ArenaNet do to fix this? Scott!
They could.
All right.
They could instance all of the dragon events, and then it'd all be instanced, and no one would ever have a full server.
That would be awesome.
It's the system. It's the
lame.
World. Yeah. So yeah, it's if you could have a lot of people going into an area, which is exactly what's going to happen when you've got these events in those areas. That's going to happen. Kind of. Well, I mean, there's ways around it that would include a lot of lag. We get enough of that at times anyway. So there's fixes, but whether they would actually be better than what you've got now is highly questionable.
Yeah, it's rough because probably my favorite thing that's gone into the patch last week, and I haven't done all the guild missions yet, so that could overcome this. But I love the new reward system for these world bosses, right? They give you really good rewards. They make it so you can only do one of them per day, so you're kind of incentivized to seek out all these other world bosses that you normally wouldn't do. The problem is everybody's doing them now, and people are actually using the Dragon Timer website to actually go on other servers. Oh, my server only has a dragon in the next 2 hours. I'm going to go to this server that has it in the next 5 minutes. And these things are getting overcrowded. A lot of times you can't even get to these events now on your own server. And this has just happened in the last week or so. So it's definitely been a little bit frustrating. To me, what's been more frustrating is that you're there and there's the culling issue and everything's lagging. You can't hit your keys. You can't heal yourself. You're basically standing there hoping you get enough auto shots in on the boss before it dies, so you get credit for loot. And that's the only challenge that these encounters have is, can I get enough damage in so I can get loot? And that whole thing needs to be kind of looked at because it's really fun. It's really fun to go treasure hunting and do that. And I feel like I really want to go out and do that. There just needs to be some way to kind of handle this. Maybe it'll die over time. Maybe it's just because it's the first week. I don't know.
I do hope that that's something that people just, once Ectos kind of stabilize in price, people stop attending them so religiously. But I noticed in the last couple of days that I've been getting kicked to Overflow a lot more if I'm there right when it starts. So I don't know if they ninja lowered the cap before Overflow starts, but it's made those events a lot smoother for me. I fought Jormag twice in the last 2 days, and it has been the smoothest fight I've had since probably the first couple of months of launch, because it just felt like there were fewer people around. So we kind of talked about this, but if you don't want the lag of everybody fighting, overflows are the solution to that. So you either get overflows and less lag, or you get a ton of lag and nobody goes to overflows.
And also say I'm not quite sure what the huge downside is to be. What is the huge downside to being on the overflow?
The
that doesn't have the event up right then.
Sorry?
It doesn't have the event up right then. So in Overflow is its own server.
Okay,
so
yeah.
if you go for the dragon, you're kicked to Overflow. You don't know how long it'll be.
So it's down to the spawn timers due to what's going on with the dragons then. So the only way to fix that is if we could have timers for the overflows that were accurate, and you could switch between.
Right.
It's just how do you fix that issue without having ridiculous amounts of other issues?
Yeah.
It's a pain. I can understand that and say, right, I've been waiting for this. I've been going to the website and I've been waiting for this to click down, and now it's finally up, and I've been kicked over to the other. And I can see that being a pain, but the way to solve it is to turn your experience doing those events on your server into an absolute bloody nightmare.
Yep.
So, sorry, but
the one thing that they could do, which I don't think I love, is they could make the spawn timers random, so you don't know when they are. You can't just go to a website and then have thousands of people trying to get to that one dragon. You make it random, though, and then I can't just log in and go, all right, I'm going to go treasure hunting right now. You can't. What are you going to do? You're just going to sit there and just stare at the wall? Right now, you can actually make a night out of going and treasure hunting.
Yes, you can.
You wouldn't be able to do that if it was all random. So.
All right, next up, this one in from Fernando de Ribeiro. He says, I would really like to know when you think we will have an LFG tool, like a group tool. I love the dungeons, but hate asking for a group in chat. Any ideas?
It's funny because there's actually an LFG in game, just nobody uses it because it's really, really not useful at all. Because you have to be in the map with a person and looking at the LFG pane on your social tab. So I would like to see a new one sooner rather than later. But they technically have one.
Yeah, I think they said specifically that there will never be an automated look for group tool like you find in WoW, where you queue up and you're just paired with people. I think they've come right out and said that they're looking at advancements to the tool, but they don't want to take out the actual having to make a group with other people. So I don't know if you're waiting for an automated pairing kind of system. I don't think that's coming.
Next up, this one in from Zachary Portillo says, do you believe there should be a trial version of the game for players to try before they buy? It's a very good question. Do you think has Guild Wars 2 been on the market long enough that there should now be at least some sort of a trial?
We've had an open weekend already, so we've kind of had that. You don't have to pay a sub. So I don't see I can see why it'd be nice.
I mean, I think what it's looking for is, A, you have to know about when the weekend's happening. B, hey, maybe I'm on the fence and I just want to get in and just try the game out. Just get a couple levels whenever I want. I mean, it's gonna probably come sooner or later.
Well, I expect it would happen, but it just seems that at the moment it's not a necessary thing. Let's just say often when games launch not too brilliantly, a strong indicator of that is within 2 or 3 weeks you get a free week or two or trial version of it for a bit. Guild Wars 2 doesn't need to do that, it seems, as things are. So it'll happen eventually, but
when would you guys expect it? I guess maybe I might expect it maybe around the time for an expansion. Maybe after the expansion, after the expansion kind of marketing media hype kind of dies off a little bit and everybody's got it. So maybe another year.
If the expansion comes out in a year,
another 9 months, you mean?
It would be nice to have a refer a friend kind of system where you kind of get rewarded for referring somebody and somebody else kind of comes in with somebody else knowing somebody, so it makes it a little bit more stickier. I don't know when they would do that. I agree with Scott though. You want to be a little bit careful about the messaging. Is that an indication of, oh, we're not doing as well as we want? We don't have enough people in here. So you gotta you want to do that at a strategic moment. Right now, I don't think it's necessary.
Strategy. All right. Next up from Ludovic Gassi says, do you think the drop rate of precursors is too low? Right on the spot, or should they be more rare, and why? What do you think, Liz?
I think Scott had his hand up.
I wasn't watching.
That's good, isn't it? I'm glad you paid attention. I think that the drop rate is too low for me.
But screw everybody else.
But the rest of you, it's fine. So, that's right. If you have it, it's rare, so you can tell it's rare enough because it's difficult to just go out and buy one. You can't just, run around for a few days, get enough gold, and buy a precursor. And it should be like that. It shouldn't be something that's very easy to get. So I'm fine with it being a rarity myself. So I'm one of those crazy people who thinks you shouldn't just have everything handed to you. And the game does that in many other ways, and you get rewarded for lots of things you do. There should be some things that you don't know. Right, if I do this in 20 minutes, I'm going to get what I want.
You watch your tongue, sir. Liz, what do you think?
We have seen that it's getting a little easier to expect one at some point because since the reward rate changed on the meta events, you'll now see that most precursors have dropped somewhere between 20 to 50 gold, which is great for people who want to just go out and buy one. I think that in some things like the Mystic Toilet, the drop rate is ridiculously low, and I don't think that makes it a fun way to get it. I don't know that I would boost it up. I would just rather take that out as an option because it's just chucking money away. So I'm pretty comfortable with it where it is. I wouldn't mind if Dusk were to drop for me, but, I've admitted at this point that that's not going to happen. Me now?
Yeah, I agree with these guys that I wouldn't want the drop rate increased, and it should be very difficult to get. But I look a little cloudy, don't I?
Something weird is going on.
A storm is brewing. A storm is brewing.
Are we all cloudy, or is that just me?
That's just you. What do you think?
I think that they shouldn't increase the drop rate, but I wouldn't mind there being other difficult ways of them getting the legendary, like they've talked about before. Put something really difficult in there, something really challenging that only a small number of people are going to be able to do, and give a precursor that way, or make it a very, very kind of long, quest line or something like that. Because difficult and rare is good, but the only way to get it is through random number. How is that fun?
Yeah, they've talked about adding a precursor hunt, like a scavenger hunt, and I think that really needs to be in the game, because even if it's difficult, it's something where you can say, okay, I have to do this, 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 and this, and those might be the hardest stinking things in the game, but I can do them and know that I have some control over it.
Yeah, I'd like to see something that's got more of a narrative feel for it, even if it's not storyline within the game, but just for yourself, as in like a stage progression towards something that feels concrete rather than dice rolling. Like grind dice roll. It's not fun in any way, shape, or form. So if we had something that felt like it was epic and challenging, and then at the end of it you got this, that would be great. But at the moment it's grind for mats, roll the dice. Oh, you crapped out. Start again.
Yeah, it's gross.
Next up from Kenny Sutherland. Kenny says, please refer to my weekly unanswered question, R.E. Polymock. Ta. No. All right. Next up from Chad Zimmerman says, do you think that ArenaNet will add a friends list log in notification that could be turned on or off? You can do this already, can't you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you can. That's in there. So,
All right, who wants
congratulations.
So the answer is yes. They will be adding it a while ago.
They will add it before launch.
Yes.
It's not perfect. And what is it? It shows loot pickups as well, right?
Yes. You have to enable all
that's why I don't
system
see that
message. You have to enable system messages. Yeah.
Yeah. I totally have that turned off.
That's why. Richie Procopio, follow him on the Twitter at Richie Procopio. Go over to his YouTube channel, Bog Otter, and come over to Gamebreaker.tv and check out all his Guild Wars 2 write-ups every single day. Especially, you gotta make sure to watch Chat Bubbles with Richie Procopio. Best show on Gamebreaker TV. I don't even know why he does this shit. Richie Procopio. Chat
Don't you
Bubbles.
leave me too.
What?
I said Richie can't leave me too. So
Yeah, he's
too sad.
He's flying high with the Richie Procopio chat bubbles. He's got, I don't even know. All right, I'll just leave that alone. Elixabeth Claire. Follow her on the Twitter at Elixabeth Claire with an X. And of course, go over to massively.com and read all of her great work over there as well. That's Elixabeth Claire with an X.
And some
say
other
goodbye.
letters.
You don't want to follow him, I guess, because he's a turnkey, leaving all of you. But he's on Twitter at Jaramore, and he will be live on This Week in MMO starting soon, not this week.
Not right away. Not right away.
He's taken he's Guild Wars. The GuildCast show has kind of put him in a whirlwind, so he's on like a tour of like hookers and blow. He's just going around the country on a private jet, and he's just
Hi,
partying it up.
I'd like to disassociate myself with the comments of Gary Gannon, Esquire. And I'd just like to make sure that's clear.
So,
I'm away on business.
Can't hear him. And then so head on over to Zam.com, where he's the editor-in-chief of Hookers and Blow. And
Gary, no wonder he's leaving.
Ruining careers one at a time.
I'm going to say, yeah. Teacher. Yeah.
I can keep going with this, but I'm not going to do it.
I know.
Wow, some restraint.
To be resumed on a Friday soon.
Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for watching GuildCast. You guys are awesome. We'll be back next week on Wednesday at 6 PST to talk more about Internet Dragons. We'll see you then.